You can adapt or change anything. You can skip anything. You have complete control over your practice, as always. And things that may be useful today are, surprise, surprise, blocks, a stretchy band, maybe a cushion. So essentially the same thing that we always have. So take your time getting whatever you need, and then we're going to start lying down on our backs. So whenever you're ready, you can have a little lie down on your mat. Just take a couple of moments to start noticing how you're feeling today. And I'm choosing to use a pillow today because I wasn't thinking when I put my hair up in a ponytail at the back of my head. So if you need to do anything like that, go ahead. Just make yourself comfortable. Essentially find a position where you can rest for a moment and really begin to notice how you're feeling. And if it feels useful to you, you might bring one hand to your stomach, maybe one hand to your heart. How does it feel each time you breathe? So you'll notice the movement of your body each time you inhale and things expand. And each time you exhale and everything moves back towards the center of you. And is it possible to breathe through your nose? If not, that's totally fine. But if so, maybe try breathing through your nose. Is it possible to slow down your breath a little bit? So if you're familiar with ujjayi breath, which is a slight constriction at the back of your throat so that your breath becomes a little bit audible. Sometimes people will refer to it as ocean sounding breath or breath of victory. But ocean sounding breath sometimes you'll hear because it's a little bit audible. It just sometimes sounds like ocean waves in the distance. So you might try ujjayi breathing because that may serve to slow down your breath a little bit and help you take long, slow, full breaths in and out. And maybe bring some attention to the parts of you that are coming into contact with the ground. And just notice how you're being supported by your surroundings. And then as you're ready, if your eyes are closed, you can go ahead and open them. And try pulling your knees into your chest to see what that feels like. You might rock from side to side a little bit. And then bring the soles of your feet together and allow your knees to come out to the side. You can rest your feet, the edges of your feet down on the ground. Bring a little bit of engagement. So press the soles of your feet together gently and notice if that changes anything at all. Sometimes when we do that, you might notice your legs lifting up a little bit. So you're in Supta Baddha Konasana, or bound angle, reclined bound angle. And as you're in this position, notice if you can feel a stretch anywhere. And as you're pressing your feet together, notice if that engages any muscles. So do you feel anything working? When you're ready, lift your knees back up. So you bring them together and then pull your knees in towards your chest again. And from here, extend your left leg down onto the floor and keep your right knee pulled in. And you can give it a little assistance with your hands. Just notice what's going on in that hip as you're squeezing it in. You might try flexing and pointing your foot a few times to see if that changes what you're feeling. And then switch legs. So drop your right leg down, extend it out, and pull your left knee in, and do the same thing here. And then reverse again, and take the next moment or two to switch between legs at your own pace. So if you enjoy holding it for longer, you can do that. If you want to move a little more quickly, you can do that. And really try to listen to your body. So what are your hips telling you? What is the rest of your body telling you? I'm just mentioning hips because this is a lot of deep flexion for your hips. Take the time you need to even yourself out. And then as you're ready, drop your right foot down onto the ground so your knee is bent, and extend your left leg up towards the ceiling or the sky. Wherever it lands, it lands. And then start flexing and pointing your foot, seeing if you can bring your knee towards straight here. And as you're flexing and pointing your foot, do you notice a stretch through the back of your leg? And how does that change? What do you feel there? You can do anything you want with your arms. If it feels useful to press your hands into the floor with your arms alongside your body, you might do that, but whatever feels right. And then if you would like to try straightening your right leg out on the ground, you might try that and decide, is that a good challenge for you to accept today? If not, you might keep your foot pressed into the floor. And then flex your foot, both feet, flex your feet, and press your right leg down, pull your left leg towards you, just actively using the strength of that leg and your body, keeping your knee generally straight, but noticing like, what does this feel like? Where do you feel things working? How does that work for you? And then if your lower leg is straight, you can bend that knee and place that foot on the ground, drop your left leg down and switch legs. So pull your right leg up, straighten that leg, point and flex that foot a few times. And then keeping that foot flexed, decide if you'd like to stretch your left leg out and down onto your mat. And wherever your left leg is, press down with that leg or that foot, and then pull your right leg towards you. Place the sole of your left foot on the ground and then drop your right foot down next to it. Widen your feet out a little bit and try a couple of windshield wipers, dropping your knees from side to side. Take a moment to even yourself out and then bring your feet back to center. From here, pull your right leg in and extend that leg up again. Flex that foot and try externally and internally rotating that leg like we did last week. So you'll be working from the hip joint, rolling it open and rolling it in towards the midline. So I'm holding my arm up like this just to kind of give you hopefully another visual if that doesn't seem clear. And once you've done it a few times on that leg, you can drop that leg down and try it on the other leg. And notice, you might even bring a hand to your hip, just notice what muscles have to work to make that motion happen. And then you can drop that foot down. And if you have blocks, grab one block. If you don't have a block, you might use a soft cushion, something small. But from here, pull your knees in, extend both legs up, and place the block between your calves. And maybe what I'll do here is turn around so you can see what I'm doing straight on. Flex your feet, and then pressing your legs together to keep that block where it is. Roll your right leg open so it's externally rotating, and then closed. So it's internally rotating or coming back to neutral. Try that a couple of times, noticing if it feels different with the block there. And once you've tried it on your right side a number of times, switch to the left, rolling the left side into external rotation and then coming back to neutral or going into internal rotation, just depending on what it feels like for you. Again, deciding, is this a challenge that you are feeling like, yeah, this is a good challenge for me today, or not? Your choice. And then when you're ready, you can stop and pop the block out, grab your strap, pull your right knee in, place your strap around the bottom of your right foot, and then press your leg up. I'm giving up on having my hair up today. So once your leg is up, you might try pointing and flexing your foot again to see how does that feel with the strap. Does it feel any different than it did before? And then bring your foot into flexion. So flex your foot, pull your knee in, and using some resistance with a band if you have one, press your leg back out at any angle at all. And try this a few times, pulling your leg in, pressing it out at another angle, just really exploring what does that feel like, what is working, and aim to keep your hips level on the ground as you're doing this. So rather than allowing your hips to roll over more to one side or the other, how level can you keep them? Once you've tried a bunch of angles, you can release the strap, drop that foot down, put your left knee in, and place your band around the bottom of that foot. Extend that leg up. Try the same pointing and flexing with your foot, noticing what does the band do to change the sensation that's there, if it does anything at all. And then flex your foot, pull your knee in, and begin pressing it away at various angles. So using these flexi bands can be a really nice warm up for our muscles because it tends to recruit more muscle fibers and just kind of wake things up a little bit more. And trying out different angles can be really interesting sometimes. When you're ready, you can pull that knee in, release the band, set it aside. And from here, pull your knees in towards your chest, maybe rock from side to side a little bit, or anything else that feels good right now. When you're ready, bring your left foot down onto the floor, extend your right leg up, flex that foot, and then begin opening that leg over to the right to the extent that it feels like a good challenge to you. You can press your hands into the ground, extend your arms alongside you if that feels useful, and only go so far as it feels like a good challenge. So if you start to slowly lower it out and you reach a point where your body is sending you signals like, hey, 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 what's going on? Maybe you stop there and pull it in a little bit. But just notice for you today, where does your leg want to be? And again, aim to keep your hips pretty level on the ground. And as you're doing this, notice what has to engage for your leg to be held there. And this is a really long lever here. So sometimes bending your knee might make that a little more comfortable, but you get to decide. As you're ready, pull your leg back up, slide your left leg out, down and straight, bend your right knee, and bring your right knee across your body over to the left. Keep your shoulders on the ground, but you can allow your right hip to come up. And you might try straightening your leg out here. You might keep it bent, but you get to decide what feels better, what feels more useful today. When you're ready, you can unwind. We'll try that on the other side. So bring both feet down onto the ground, extend your left leg up, flex that foot, maybe press your hands into the ground and slowly start lowering that left leg out to the left, just to the extent that that works for you. Again, aiming to keep your hips level. So this might be a lot of work. You might really feel it in your hip. So make sure you're choosing kindly for your body, noticing what degree of opening that leg out really works for you. When you're ready, you can pull that leg back up, bend that knee, extend your right leg out and down, and then bring your right knee across, allowing that hip to lift up and come into a twist here. Maybe keeping your leg bent, maybe straightening it out, that right leg. When you're ready, you can bring yourself back to center. And right here, you can do anything you'd like. Maybe you try some windshield wipers. Maybe you just extend your legs out and kind of let them loll back and forth, out and back in, or gently bend and straighten your legs, whatever feels right. And when you're ready, come up to a seated position. Make your way into tabletop. From tabletop, if you'd like to try a few cat-cows, you might drop your stomach towards the ground, lift your chin, lift your tailbone, and then round through your back. Drop your chin to your chest. Really press up through your shoulder blades, drawing them up towards the ceiling. And then moving back and forth between cow and cat a few times. Move at your own pace here. And then as you're ready, bring your feet in front of you and roll yourself down or come down onto your back in whatever way feels like it's going to work for you. And once you're on your back, bring the soles of your feet together and allow your knees to come out into Supta Baddha Konasana, which is kind of where we started today. If it feels okay to close your eyes, you can close your eyes. You can do anything you want with your hands. Maybe you bring one hand to your stomach, one hand over your heart. I'm not going to do that because my mic is right there. But if you want to close your eyes, go ahead. Maybe bring your attention to whatever sensation pops up first in your awareness. And see if you can bring attention there, and rather than greeting it with judgment, can you see if maybe there's an adjective to describe it? And then bring your attention to your shoulders and your neck, and notice if they're holding on to tension when they maybe don't need to. If so, maybe say thank you. Thank you for doing all that work, and give them permission to relax. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. And you might try doing that with other points where you know you tend to hold tension in your body. So take the next couple of minutes for Shavasana, maybe noticing these areas in your body that like to hold on to tension and giving them some praise and thank you. And you can adjust your position however you like. Maybe you stretch your legs out or bring your knees up, place the soles of your feet on the floor and rest your knees together. Whatever feels comfortable. You could transition to seated as well. Notice if your mind is wandering. Maybe bring your attention to your breath. You might take a few really deep breaths. Maybe start to stretch a little bit, find some movement. And if you'd like to transition out of Shavasana, take your time coming into a seated position if you're not already there. And if you would like to bring your hands into Anjali Mudra, this gesture of offering, you can go ahead and do that. Anything else you'd like to do with your hands is fine. But take a moment to, as we always do, find a reason to say to yourself, hey, thank you for this, as specific a thing as you can find to thank yourself for. And then just a moment to acknowledge the practice of yoga as an ancient Indian practice that was kept alive and shared with the rest of the world so that everyone could benefit, even after colonizers tried to wipe out the practice. So lots of gratitude for that. And thank you for practicing with me today.